Building and straightening bike wheels is often thought as a bit of a dark art, but it's doable to the average bike mechanic with some logical thinking. This is our beginner's guide to straightening your bike wheels. Rims can get bent and damaged through heavy riding or heavy landings, but with most modern bikes having disc brakes rather than rim brakes, you can get away with some movement in the rim without it adversely affecting the ride. However, if you have too many loose spokes on that wheel, it really affects the integrity and strength of that wheel. First things first, this is the easy way of checking the tension on your spokes. I'll start off at the valve, and I'm going to grab these two adjacent spokes that come down the V together on the same side, and just squeeze them together. Go around the wheel squeezing them. They shouldn't move any more than that, 2 or 3 millimeters maybe. Keep going around the wheel. Sure feels similar. Oh, except for there. See that spoke is loose, so I know that something has happened on that one. In this area of the wheel, I must have had a heavy landing or something, so this wheel is going to need a little bit of attention. So the fact that I've got loose spokes in this rear wheel is really compromising the strength of it, and it's really important that you do something about that, because rims don't completely fail and bend. I'm sure you've all seen it where people completely tacho their wheel. That is really rare unless you're already riding a bike that's got some loose spokes in there and then you land awkwardly on it. So I've got to do something about that. Next thing is to check the straightness of the rim. If you have a fancy workshop, you can use a wheel jig to do this. However, most amateur mechanics probably don't, so I'm going to show you how to do that using your frame or fork as a reference. Basically, try and line something up. You could use a zip tie or Allen key. I'm just going to use my finger. Spin the back wheel, just put it up nice and close to the rim, and I can feel in certain spots the rim's going away from my finger and then pushing back onto it, so I know I've got some sort of buckle in that rear wheel. I'm just going to really briefly talk about how spoke tension works. So the spoke threads through your hub, and then the spoke nipple threads through your rim, and that winds down onto that thread on the end of the spoke. And the tighter that goes, the more tension will be on that spoke. And that's how you pull that rim around using tension with your spokes. To do that, you're going to need a spoke key, looks a lot like that. So this is a workshop spoke key. You might find they actually have a spoke key tucked away on your multi-tool, so check that out first, you might already have one. These spoke nipples can sometimes wind loose. That can happen with new wheels when they're bedded in, but actually more often than not, those nipples haven't moved at all. What's happened is you've whacked that rim and the rim has moved, and that's why this spoke is loose. So I'm now going to use my spoke key to try and straighten out this wheel as much as possible, get some tension back onto these spokes. Like I said before, I'm running disc brakes on this bike, so it's not absolutely essential that it's completely straight, because anything less than sort of 5 mils movement, I'm not going to feel on the trail. However, if you are using rim brakes, you need to get a more accurate job, and you might want to use a wheel jig for this. So to add tension to a spoke, if you think about looking from this side, let's say you can look through the tyre and at the rim, you want to wind that nipple clockwise. However, obviously you'll spend most of your time looking from this side, and actually that's anti-clockwise if you're looking to the inside of the rim. So anti-clockwise to add tension. So just using my really simple finger method of feeling for buckles in the rim, I can feel at one spot the rim really pushes into my finger. So this is where the wheel's bent to the right hand side. I'm going to tighten up that spoke on the left hand side, so anti-clockwise, and just do it maybe a half or a quarter of a turn at a time. Check the tension, give it a spin, and keep working like that until you've tried to pull that rim as straight as possible. To get out those finer movements in the wheel, I've just taped an Allen key to my frame. I know it's a bit of a bodge, but it actually does give you a really good reference. Have a look down the rim, see how much it's moving around. And again, I'm going to keep going around the wheel and trying to get it as straight as possible. With the used wheel, you can get out a lot of the side movements as long as they're not too big. But if there's any up and down movements, so if your wheel is a bit egg-shaped, it's much more difficult to get those out. When you're building a wheel from new, you think about pulling wheels from one side to the other to straighten it out. But once your bike's used, your rim might have been smashed a bit, it's almost impossible to get those egg shapes out. I'm worrying more about the side-to-side movement. So once I've got all those buckles out as best as possible, I go round the wheel again and check all the tension on the spokes. And if I do find a spoke that's a little bit loose, like that one, I'll just put a little bit more tension on it, so maybe a quarter or half a turn. Even if it does slightly pull it out of straightness, it's much better to have even tension on all these spokes than a perfectly straight wheel. You may have noticed that little creaking noise as I'm turning the nipples and tensioning the spokes, that's totally normal. They're just sort of creaking a little bit as you move. And you might find that when you first ride the bike, you hear a little bit of creaking and popping as the wheel settles. So it's also worth rechecking the tension on the spokes, especially with new wheels after the first couple of rides. And if you want to see how to ride the wheels off this bike, click up there for our how-to playlist so you can learn some new skills. And if you click just down the bottom of the screen there, that'll take you through to our full maintenance playlist so you can learn how to look after your bike. Click just in the middle to subscribe to JMBN, it's totally free, and we have new videos every day of the week, sometimes even 2. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video.